What if I told you that the fear you're trying to heal doesn't want to leave? That it's not broken, because it's doing exactly what it was created to do. That some people feel safe in fear and terrified by peace? That fear can be passed down through your blood, even if you've never been hurt? That some people are called brave, not because they've conquered fear, but because they're numb to life itself? And the most unbelievable part? The fear that's holding you back might not even be yours. And still, your body believes it's real. Stay with this video, because once you understand fear from this lens, you'll stop trying to get rid of it and start learning from it. Most people spend their lives trying to reduce fear. They meditate, take medications, go to therapy, all in the hope of silencing that relentless inner alarm called fear. The shocking reality is that fear feels safer than peace for some people. Yes, I know, it sounds strange, but for someone who grew up in chaos, fear becomes familiar. It becomes the normal hum in the background of their life. Fear on its own is neither good or bad because fear is what sharpens our awareness. Without it, it's like driving a car with no brakes. In a society obsessed with safety and control, the idea of fearlessness is glamorized. But the reality is, fear isn't the enemy. It's a guide, a teacher, a survival instinct. Fear is not a weakness. It's biological intelligence, a messenger of survival encoded into the nervous system. From the moment we are born, fear helps keep us alive by alerting us to danger, unfamiliarity, or anything that could potentially harm us. Fear reveals what matters to us. You're not afraid of losing something you don't care about. Fear, in this sense, is a mirror. It tells you where your heart lives. A brain that can't feel fear isn't a superhero's brain. It's a damaged one. Fearlessness is a loss of critical data that your brain needs to keep you alive. Fear is part of our emotional ecosystem. Like pain, it's unpleasant, but necessary. Fear builds humility. Without it, we risk arrogance, recklessness, or sociopathy. Fear doesn't always warn you about danger. Sometimes, it guards you from love. Let that sink in. Some people aren't afraid of being hurt. They're afraid of being seen. Because if someone really sees them, without the mask, the performance, the perfection, they might reject the real them. Sometimes, it arises before anything has ever happened, and even in the absence of trauma. You don't need a traumatic life to be afraid. Fear can live in your imagination and still ruin your life. Your brain doesn't know the difference between real danger and a well-rehearsed what-if. So when you imagine getting rejected, losing everything, or being humiliated, your body reacts like it's already happening. Fear can disguise itself as logic. People say, "I'm just being cautious," or "I'm thinking it through." But deep down, they know, it's not wisdom talking. It's fear pretending to be smart. Fear can show up right before your breakthrough. Fear screams the loudest when you're about to walk through a door that could change your life. And most people turn back, thinking fear means don't. But in that moment, fear isn't blocking you. It's testing you. But like we said earlier, fear is neither a weakness nor an enemy. Fear only becomes toxic when you let it make your choices. When it becomes your compass, not your warning light. The goal isn't to be fearless. It's to feel fear and still be free. Fear thrives in the unknown. Until knowledge becomes felt, processed, and lived, it won't heal fear. Right knowledge is the beginning of freedom, not the end. It won't magically erase fear. But it will bring it into the light, where it can be faced, processed, and transformed. Fear is not just a thought. It's a biological state. You can't think your way out of fear if your body still believes you're in danger. Fear lives in the future, what might happen, or the past, what did happen. It loses power when you bring your awareness fully into the present moment. Fear thrives in vagueness, shame, and silence. But when you name it, examine it, speak it, it shrinks. Fear doesn't leave when ignored. It waits, and it moves into the body when the heart can't hold it anymore. Fear stored in the body can be reactivated long after the danger has passed. Living without fear is not emotional mastery. Fear only feels like weakness because society glorifies invincibility. The inability to feel fear, as seen in rare brain conditions or certain sociopathic traits, is more dangerous than having fear itself. Wealth doesn't erase fear, it shifts the type of fear. Instead of "will I survive?" it becomes "what if I can't keep this?" Fear is not exclusive to the poor, the traumatized, or the oppressed. It's a human emotion, not a circumstantial one. Some people appear fearless but are actually emotionally frozen, often due to trauma. Unprocessed fear doesn't vanish. It mutates into chronic anxiety, outbursts of rage, relationship dysfunction. A life without fear exists, but it's not always safe, wise, or real. The goal should not be a life without fear. The goal is a life where fear no longer controls you, manipulates your choices, or hijacks your soul. Fear is sometimes an unconscious desire for death, not survival. This is perhaps the darkest reality, yet it's real. Some people fear nothing, not because they're brave, but because part of them secretly wants it all to end. Fear is a cover for a quiet wish to disappear. Fear can feel safer than safety, because at least it's predictable. Sometimes, fear is the last honest thing left in a life full of masks. Fear is your early warning system. But it is not your compass. Let it ring the alarm. But you decide when to move. Fear cannot be suppressed by positive thinking only. Fear isn't silenced by affirmations, it's silenced by understanding. Suppression doesn't heal fear. It just buries it, and buried fear becomes anxiety, self-sabotage, or even illness. Control doesn't cure fear. It's just fear in disguise. But fear isn't like a physical wound, it doesn't heal by waiting. Time doesn't heal fear. Clarity, compassion, and conscious exposure do. Fear is like a bad storyteller, it magnifies everything, but it's rarely the full truth. You can know something intellectually and still be terrified of it emotionally. That's because knowledge only reaches the cognitive brain, but fear often lives in the body and nervous system. But how does fear become activated? Many people have attributed fear to trauma, but shockingly, fear doesn't always require experience. Fear can be inherited, fear can be passed down through generations, encoded in their DNA. This is known as epigenetic inheritance. Fear can be imagined. Fear can be learned. Parents saying, "Don't trust people," can create social anxiety in a child. Cultural messages like "rich people are bad," "love always ends in pain," or "failure is shameful" can cause internal fear responses, even if you've never experienced these outcomes. Fear is stored in the amygdala, but regulated by the prefrontal cortex, your mindset center. If the prefrontal cortex believes you're in danger, even falsely, it will trigger fear responses in your body. The following are 10 ways to master your fears. Avoid over-explaining yourself, speak once and do so clearly. You don't have to shrink your truth for comfort. Silence should not scare you anymore. Why this matters is that when fear rules our mind, we try to control how we're perceived, but when we have mastered our fears, we let people's perception of us fall where it may. Be calm around chaos, you don't have to collapse under pressure. Breathe slower, think clearer. Those who have mastered their fears don't panic when plans fall apart because they've already faced internal wars no one else saw. Fear taught them how to stay standing, not how to avoid trembling. Learn to say no without needing to justify it. No is a full sentence, and you don't have to panic after saying it. Saying no without fear of backlash is one of the highest forms of personal power. It means fear no longer drives you to people-pleasing. Stop performing emotional perfection. You no longer need to pretend to be fine. Do not be afraid of appearing weak, messy, or too sensitive. Allow themselves to be real. The fear of judgment should no longer hijack your authenticity. Be willing to begin again, even after public failure. Reinvent yourselves without self-pity or apology. Your identity should no longer be held hostage by the fear of starting all over again. The old fear of humiliation and failure should not affect your mindset. Keep on moving forward. Confront the small things others avoid. Have a hard conversation about those little things others are reluctant to discuss. Be quick to say "I was wrong" or "I need help." Don't try to win every argument. Outgrown the fear of being wrong, misunderstood, or outsmarted. That's not a weakness. That's what inner stability looks like. Let others talk. Let them project. Let them assume. Don't chase certainty, create movement. Don't wait to feel ready, just act. Adjust. Adapt. The goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty, it's to keep moving despite it. Trust yourselves more than the need for guarantees. No longer let fear speak in disguise. Fear wears masks like perfectionism, overthinking, avoidance, control, humor, busyness. Be wise to know, that's not productivity. That's avoidance, that's not intuition. That's fear in disguise, that's not ambition. That's you running from stillness. Separate facts from forecasts. Choose joy as an act of rebellion. When nothing is going well, choosing joy, even small moments, is a radical act. Happiness in turbulence isn't denial, it's proof that fear doesn't own your entire life. Studies show over 85% of what people fear never happens, and for the 15% that does, 90% of people's report about it wasn't as bad as their mind imagined. You can feel fear, but you're not fueled by it. It is not noble to live without fear. It is noble to live without being enslaved by it. If this spoke to something silent in you, something the world doesn't see but you carry every day, then don't just watch, share it. Because someone you love might be smiling on the outside, but silently drowning in fear. And they need to hear this. They are not broken. They are not weak. They're just human, in a world that never taught them how to stand tall while scared. So hit that subscribe button, not just for more videos, but to join a space that tells the truth. The untold truth. And if you've ever mastered a silent fear, or still battle one every day, drop a comment. Your story might be the light someone else was looking for in their darkness.